Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Happy National Broadcast Day. Our next segment will look at the power of the broadcast industry in holding the government accountable and the evolution of the broadcast industry in Nigeria. Joining me from our channel's Abuja studio is a broadcast journalist, Oche Otene. Oche, welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon indeed. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. So let's look at the evolution or the development of the broadcast industry in Nigeria. How would you say Nigeria has fared compared to her counterparts?
Well, broadcasting is indeed ever growing and developing in Nigeria. And I think with new stations, new platforms springing up each and every time, I think we headed towards the right direction, I must say.
Okay. Some would say that when we had radio, then came TV. People were afraid that radio will become extinct. And then we have TV, and now we have the internet, the digital media, and with some of the advancements in AR, artificial reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, do you feel that the broadcast industry is in danger of being made extinct or maybe not being as powerful due to these new technologies?
Well, I do not think so. Reason is around the 1880s, we saw the evolution of the print came to be. And then when it came, it was like, that was everything. And then around the 1940s, we had radio. Radio came, and then it seemed like actually the print was going to run into extinction, but that did not happen. And then in the 90s, the TV came to be. And now we have even the new media, which is social media and all. So I think it's all encompassing. And basically, traditional media platforms are also trying to see how they can fuse up with the new media in such a way that everything is more like holistic. And you find out that it's really broad, and then you're passing the message to the audience or your listener, in quotes.
So do you ever get scared or worried that the robots are coming for your job? Do you ever feel that maybe it won't be a human this time that will be interviewing you, but a robot could be doing the work of a broadcaster?
I do not think so. If artificial intelligence is ever going to come to be in broadcasting, I think it's going to make it all better, just the way we have in other spheres as well. I think it's going to be more encompassing, and maybe the job of having a journalist going out for a reportage being attacked, that can indeed reduce all of this. I mean, having threats on journalists and all. You could have reporters who are robots, I mean, go on the streets to collect stories. That is, I just think it's going to be an addition to the world of media, to the world of broadcast, having artificial intelligence coming in.
Okay, so technology more as a tool to enhance the quality of journalism, broadcasting. So now let's look at the role of the broadcaster or the broadcasting industry in holding government accountable and ensuring good governance for the citizens. Do you feel that Nigeria's broadcast industry is doing enough to hold our leaders accountable?
Well, basically, broadcasting has three roles. One is to educate, another is to inform, and also to entertain. Now, most times when you report in the news, you're expected to be very objective and you're expected to be fair. So basically, broadcasters are meant to report the actions and inactions of the government and what is happening in the land. Take, for example, the earlier part of the show, you spoke about the hardship that a lot of persons are facing in recent times. And that's basically the role of broadcasting. You bring these stories forward and you question the actions and the inactions of government and governance, basically. The challenge I see in the world of broadcasting basically is where you have state house correspondents who basically what they dish out is the viewpoint of the governor they are reporting. They don't really bring that objectiveness to their stories. They don't bring that fairness. It's more like a one-angle thing. And basically, when you're reporting a gist or a story, it should be like a coin. You talk about this side, and you also look at the other side of the coin. And you try to be very objective with your reportage. And I think with that, we can truly hold the government accountable. And as the news breaks, you break it indeed.
Okay, I would like to follow up on the point that you made. So you see a lot of state correspondents who are just more or less regurgitating press releases and maybe just doctoring the headline and just giving it verbatim. What should be done to address that? Do you feel this is something that needs to be tackled from the education the journalist or broadcaster receives before they get on the job? Or do you think these are things that need to be will I say, the code needs to address?
I think there is need for training and retraining of presenters, of broadcasters, and ensure that they are really ready for the role they are playing. With that, I think we can indeed fight that. Another reason I say is low pay. When it comes to the world of broadcasting, some journalists are paid peanuts. And so they just try to do everything possible to head on with life and also try to feed their family and those that they're responsible to take care of. So I think when the pay is huge, that can indeed tackle that. When a reporter is paid heavily or paid well, you see that maybe the peanuts that the state government will be giving him or her, he will not really be concerned with that. And you see objectivity come in play with his reportage. You see that he would try to be very fair in what he speaks on in what he also gives out to the public. So one, there's need for training. Secondly, there's also need to look at the pay. Some broadcasters, reporters, on-air personalities take home.
I like those points that you've made, and it got me thinking about the rise of what we'll call brown envelope journalism. And this is not something that's just limited to, say, government. Even you'll find private sector players who would hand over a brown envelope or a white envelope or money for their news to be carried instead of maybe paying for advertisement. And that then gives maybe the TV station enough money to increase the remuneration of its staff. So what can be done to tackle that? How can the journalists say no to, say, the brown envelope while still waiting for their remuneration to increase?
I think that should be a thing with basically the management of a station. If the management of a station is indeed very strong and broad in ethics, I believe that can indeed stop. And also you train your presenters, you train your reporters on the need to bring the real gist to the table and shun brown envelopes. But in a place or in a stance where you see a presenter owed, not paid regularly, you see such an issue or such a situation will continue to just grow further. But when a reporter is being catered for and is catered well for, I mean, remunerations are paid in time, I believe that can indeed quench that ugly tide.
Okay. Now, when we look at the ever-changing media landscape, we understand that numbers play a huge role. People are looking at ratings, people are looking at views, people are looking at clicks. And as long as that happens, there is that temptation or that almost need to always break the news and go viral, which then allows for fake news. So how can you manage as a broadcaster the need to go viral and to really top the numbers and as well still stay true to the story?
Well, just like you said, a lot of reporters, broadcasters, they're pretty quick. They want to be the first to break a story, want to be the first to get that like, want to be the first to get those followers, because basically people enjoy when you are the first to break a story. People like it when they always get fresh stories from you, but they need to fact check whatever you report and they need to fact check whatever you're giving out. It's of utmost importance because fake news is like wildfire, and if you don't curb it early enough, it's certainly going to cause plenty of destruction, and most times it can even be very fatal. That's why there's every need for journalists, media practitioners to indeed fact check whatever they're dishing out. And then for the people also getting this information, I also think it's important to verify the source of your story. You can't just go on social media and then get anything. And then with the evolution or the coming in of citizen journalism, where everyone now think, okay, they can just use their phone and tweet a story, tweet something, and just say something, and then you see everyone believe in it. But the challenge is, and the way out or the way forward is basically for people to verify the sources of their stories, ensure that it's from a verifiable source. It's not just someone who maybe had a dream last night and then goes on social media and begins to indeed release this information. And then earlier we spoke about trainings. It's important that you train your reporters so that they can be careful on the kind of reportages they bring forward.
Okay.
You
All
don't
right,
just
Oche.
think about something and then you begin to say, okay, this is the reality.
So there's a lot to still be done. And I like how you say that the responsibility is both on the broadcaster, but also on the receiver and the consumer of such news. Thank you very much, Oche Otene, a broadcast journalist, for your contributions on Rubbin Minds.